Hi friends, welcome back to my tarot channel, YiaYia's Heart. Today, in recognition of a holiday in which we in the U.S. look back on the actions of our ancestors, I wanted to connect with some of those ancestors and get a better understanding of some of their struggles, their triumphs, and their experiences. The ancestors that come through in these readings may not be limited to those who fought in the 1700s to win independence and start to form the United States, but they may include any other ancestors who wish to come through, any ancestors who wish to bring us a better understanding of their story, and I welcome any who would happen to come through. So today, the reading may be a little bit involved. I'm going to have 3 groups, and within each group I'd like to bring in, if they are willing to come forth, 2 ancestors, each one separately. So it may be a little lengthy, just to let you know ahead of time. But I'm hoping that this will work out. I've not done this before, and I wrote up a new spread for this, which is fairly involved. It's a 10-card spread. So we'll see how it goes. But to begin with, let me tell you about the groups. Also, I've chosen oracle cards ahead of time intuitively, one for each group, which we will take a look at the end of the reading, hopefully to give us kind of an overview of one of the ancestors or all of the ancestors that we have seen in the reading, if that goes together well. But the groups that I've put together, the first group, group number 1, is a dragon sculpture, a little dragon sculpture, and I believe this is actually rose quartz. And group number 2 is a black pyramid, and I believe that this is obsidian. And group number 3 is a clear quartz Merkaba. So take a moment to tune into the groups and see which one calls to you, or more than one. You're certainly welcome to listen to the entire recording if you would like to do that, or more than one reading. And as always, each group will be linked below in the description. So simply go to the link that is for your particular group and click on that link, and it'll take you directly to your reading. So if you need a little additional time, go ahead and pause the video. Otherwise, I will see you at your reading. Hi, Group 1. This is your reading to connect with ancestors. The rose quartz dragon. I've actually set the card clear over here on the side because I'm going to need a lot of table space, I think, for this reading. More than usual, anyway. So let's get started. So the first card that we want to get is to represent the ancestor who is coming through for you. So Spirit, could you please bring us a message regarding who the ancestor is that's coming in for Group 1? Who is the first ancestor that is coming through for Group 1? We welcome them and we honor them, and we thank them for coming through to give us a better understanding of where we come from. So the ancestor, first ancestor who's coming through for Group 1, please. Alright, let's see here. What are we getting? I feel like there's just way too much here. Okay. So this is interesting. We've got a couple of cards that are kind of opposite to each other. we got the Ace of Wands, and we got the Temperance card. The Ace of Wands here is talking about just a fiery, fiery individual who's all about action. And the Temperance card is about an individual who is kind of one who can calm that action down. So I'm kind of wondering if this is perhaps, and we got the Two of Pentacles here, this is perhaps a couple from your ancestry, a husband and wife, a mother and father who are coming through together. A fiery one of the individuals and the other partner who kind of kept things in check. And the Two of Pentacles is letting us know that it was a very tentative balance. I feel like the energy of this individual is just huge and fiery and the kind of person that always was ready to jump and jump right in whenever they felt like there was a cause. And this individual, I'm feeling like this is perhaps the father and this is perhaps the mother, not necessarily, but that's kind of the impression that I'm getting. So this individual was always the one to say, well, stop a minute and let's think about this. And in addition to that, they were always there to welcome this individual back when they went out to their causes. But again, it was a delicate balance. I feel like this individual had the patience of Job. And this individual had the willpower of Thor, perhaps. I'm getting a very Thor vibe with this card, and I'm getting also sort of a Viking vibe with this woman card, this card. So I feel like this ancestor was perhaps a Norseman or in some way connected to Scandinavia, if that rings a bell for some of you. I am feeling as though this is a maternal line. So this may be on your mother's side that this family is from. So that is actually a couple of ancestors, I believe, that are coming through for you. The second card that we would like to get, Spirit, represents the relationship of these ancestors or this ancestor who's coming through for group one. What is the relationship to them? So we got the Strength card. So the relationship of this ancestor, this was a very strong line in your ancestry. This was, this is very likely an ancestral line that you're familiar with. An ancestral line who was well known, perhaps well researched in your family. They may have been, and I almost am feeling like this particular ancestral line may have been almost famous. They may have been a great warrior in battle. I feel like they're probably well known, at least within their time. They were well known. They were looked up to. They were trusted to lead the people. So, these ancestors may actually have been some sort of royalty, although I'm not feeling royalty as much as just, I'm not feeling royalty in that would not necessarily have even been the mode of leadership where these ancestors lived. I'm feeling like where these ancestors came from, what was honored and what was valued was strength. And that these ancestors, be it a husband and wife, mother and father, or even just a single ancestor who manifested or who, not manifested, but contained both a feminine and a masculine power. But I am really feeling a very dual vibe with this. So I think this is actually two ancestors coming through who were husband and wife, who were partners. And what was respected where they lived was strength, personal strength and courage. And so I am definitely getting the vibe that these were leaders where they lived, or this person, but I think it's two people. I believe this line very much led their community, their village, whatever it was that they lived, where they lived. They had a great deal of strength and courage, and they were very much looked up to for that strength and courage. So as far as their relationship to you, again, I think this was a maternal line. And, I think by showing this card, I think that they're just saying that you may already be familiar with this particular lineage, or if you're not familiar with this lineage, it will be easy to look up, because I feel as though they were well known, and so therefore this line was well documented. So the third card that we are wanting to get, or the third message that we're wanting to get, is something about their life. Can you tell us something more about this ancestor or these ancestors' lives, please, Spirit? What was their life like? Okay. Okay, so we got the Ten of Cups. So these people lived an extremely passionate life, just tremendously passionate. They were strong, they were courageous, they jumped into battle whenever it was necessary. They also were someone who very much enjoyed their life. They were happy. They weren't carefree, but they just had such a passion for life. They had, when they weren't off doing hard work of some sort, whether that was fighting a battle or building ships or whatever it was that was hard in their lives, which they took on those challenges with great vigor. But when they weren't doing that, it was almost as though their work in their life was so hard that their play in their life, in order to balance that out, was just as hard. So they worked hard and they played hard. The Seven of Swords that we got here, I feel as though there was always a chance that they were going to have to pick up and move at a moment's notice. There may have been a lot of battles and conquests that were going on during the time that they lived. There may have been a lot of invaders. I feel like they were always defending their territory, and there was always that knowledge, maybe a little bit of fear, but more so there was just the understanding that they may have to pick up and move for their safety at any moment. Even if it wasn't permanent, they always lived under sort of that shadow of that is a possibility, something that may have happened at any moment, and they were always prepared for that. So, Spirit, what can you tell us messages, please, a card or cards that represents a trauma that they had in their life that came forward to future generations, a trauma that was significant enough that was brought forward through the generations. Okay. Okay. So there was, I believe this is what happened. There was an invasion. It spilled the blood of many of the people in the village, and in particular, it spilled the blood of the children of your ancestors. It made their lives come crashing down, and I feel as though there may have been 5 children, and 3 of them were killed in this invasion or this attack, and it absolutely just devastated their world. It made one of your ancestors, and I believe it was the maternal ancestor, pulled inward. She went into a deep, deep, deep grievance, a deep depression. she carried on with her life, but she carried this tremendous wound with her from then on. And it ripped a huge hole in the middle of her, and she grieved terribly. So that's the trauma that was brought forth from this or these ancestors. So Spirit, can you please provide messages on how Group 1 can heal this trauma? How can Group 1 help to heal this trauma that is brought forth through the generations? How can they help to heal this trauma? Okay. Okay, yeah. So we got a whole lot of wands. We got the Queen of Wands, excuse me, we got the Page of Wands, and we got the Five of Wands. Wands are all about action, about creativity, about passion. Obviously, these relatives, these ancestors rather, were very passionate people. And the loss of their children doused that passion. It put out the passion. It put out the flame that they had, that passion for life, that zest for living, and they just ended up just getting through, going through the day-to-day to make it through their lives. That was how they ended up dealing with this. And so the way to heal this trauma now is to rekindle that flame, to rekindle that passion, that creativity. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can do that through creative endeavors, whether that be, in the traditional sense of creativity, doing some sort of art form, painting, writing, sculpting, any sort of a creative passion that brings out just your love of life. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be creating something, although wands are all about action. So actually creating something is probably what's going to heal it the quickest, but it also deals with just recognizing beauty in your world, feeling the passion of seeing a beautiful thing, of seeing something that brings love to you, that brings joy to you. That is the way to heal this terrible trauma that happened to your ancestors in the past. Is just to rekindle that passion for life, rekindle that passion for beauty, that passion for creation. Creation, in addition to traditional artistic endeavors, can include things like creating a new idea, and not just thinking of a new idea, but actually creating something, putting an idea into practice, putting an idea out to the world. And taking concrete steps to make it happen. So, if that's part of your job, that you create new ideas, that you come up with, like maybe you're in advertising and you come up with ad campaigns to help your clients sell products or their services, or perhaps you design websites, or whatever it might be. If you have a creative potential in your work, then really, really pour beauty into that creativity. Pour beauty, pour passion. Bring forth things that make you feel excited, that really hit you in the heart, that are beautiful, that are engaging, that are exciting. Bring those things forward. Bring that passion into life, and that will help to heal this ancestor's trauma going forward into future generations. So, sorry. I lost my place here. So the next group, Spirit, that we need to hear is how will healing this drama affect Group 1 and future generations? How will them healing this trauma, how will Group 1 healing this trauma benefit them going forward and also their future generations? Okay, so we got the Fool. So healing this trauma from your ancestors, generations, your past, which is brought up through generations, whether you realize it or not, that grief carries through generations. If you were brought up with a parent who's struggling with grief, your sort of overall outlook on the world may be one of grief or depression or heaviness. So it transfers through generations. So by healing this trauma, by really pulling in your creativity, your joy for life, your just passion and feeling and emotion and taking action on those things, by doing that, you are creating a brand new start for your family and your generations going forward. I mean, your ancestors aren't even, it's not even being specific. It's not even saying, oh, well, you'll be able to do this better or you'll be able to do that better. This is like the ultimate, you're starting over. And you're starting over with a sense of wonder, with a sense of excitement, potential. Everything is possible kind of a feeling. So by healing this trauma, by opening up the passion for life, by healing the grief that has been brought through the generations, you're opening up your family lineage to a new beginning, a completely new beginning, where everything is hopeful and everything is possible and everything is joyful and exciting. So that's amazing there. So Spirit, can we get messages, please, for Group 1 on what gifts their ancestors brought forward? What gifts did their ancestors send forward to them? What gifts did they receive from these ancestors? Okay, well, that's amazing. We got the High Priestess. Your ancestors gave you the gift of intuition. Your ancestors had the ability to know what was needed at any given moment. They didn't overthink things. They just acted upon them, and they knew the best way to go. They trusted their gut, and they believed that they were right. They believed that they knew in their heart, in their gut, in their soul, the best action to take or not take. So they sent forward this gift of intuition for you. It's also a gift of balance. They also knew, if like I said, if they worked incredibly hard, then they needed to play incredibly hard. So they brought forth a sense of balance as well as this intuition. They knew how to make their lives work. They knew the best action to take, and they could feel. They really had a good feel for when things began to get out of balance, and they knew how to rebalance things. So your ancestors have sent forth this gift of intuition and balance to you. And how, Spirit, how best can Group 1 recognize and nurture this gift that their ancestors have sent forth? How can they recognize and utilize and nurture this gift? Okay, the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is about having abundance and fulfillment. So the way that you best can recognize and nurture this is just notice what in your life is good. What do you have that is good about your life. I mean, even if you feel like you don't have what you need, you don't have what you want, you don't have what you wish for, you always have something in your life. You always have something. Typically, Pentacles is about material things or 3D, earthly kind of things. So, anything that you can recognize in your life that you have that is manifest in your life to be thankful for. Be that you have a roof over your head, or you have, it can be something as simple as you have a favorite shirt that when you put it on, it makes you happy. You've got a friend who is always there when you need them. You can contact them. You've got a dog that is just the best thing in the world, that you just they just make you feel happy. You've got a car that you love. You have you live in a place that's beautiful. Whatever it is that is your abundance, recognize that and acknowledge it and understand it and be grateful for it, and that will help you to bring forward these gifts from your ancestors. And Spirit, how will nurturing these gifts from Group 1's ancestors benefit them? How will this benefit them going forward? Okay. So we got 2 kings and the emperor. So that's pretty powerful. We got the King of Cups, we got the King of Wands, and we got the Emperor. So recognizing these gifts and nurturing these gifts through gratitude for your abundance is going to bring you just a tremendous power in your life. I don't even know how to put this into words. This is just so very powerful. This is going to turn your life around to where you have control of your life. You can make your life whatever you want it to be. You have mastery over your life. You are looked up to. We also got the 6 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords is telling you that you're also going to have the gift of knowing which way to go. You're going to have the from nurturing this intuition. You're bringing that intuition forward, and it's going to serve you in that you will know what direction you need to go at any given moment. You're going to know what's the best route to take. You're going to know what's the best action to take. You're going to know what's the best job to choose. You're going to know who's the best partner to choose. You're always going to know which way to go. This intuition that your ancestors had, this understanding of the need for balance in your life, is going to come forward, and it's going to give you just a tremendous ability to know which way is the right way for you, and that is going to lead you to this incredibly powerful life. Just an amazingly powerful life. So thank you, ancestors, for coming through with these messages. That is really pretty amazing. I'm going to take just a moment to kind of clean things up, and I'll be back, and we'll see if we can get in touch with a second ancestor for you as well. So I'll be right back. Okay, Group 1, we're going to continue with your reading and see if we can get another ancestor to come through. I'm really going to try and keep this as concise as I can, otherwise this is going to get really long. I know I have a tendency to repeat myself, but we'll try not to do that. So, Spirit, could you please, is there another ancestor that would like to come through for Group 1, please? Another ancestor to come through for Group 1. Okay, we got a lot of cards here. Let's see. Well, we got the Wheel of Fortune, we got the Death card, we got the Hermit. So we've got some major arcana coming through here. Again, I feel like this was a powerful ancestor for you. This person was, it looks like this is another warrior in your lineage. I feel like this individual carried a very heavy burden of protection for their people. But I also feel as though this ancestor at some point in their life, okay, let me back up on this. This ancestor at some point in their life was ostracized. They were shunned. They were chased out of their group, and they had to start over. They had to start over. They were... Let me back up a little bit here. Now I'm feeling like this is a very feminine vibe. I feel as though this may have been a witch in your ancestry, in your lineage. This may have been... this may have been a witch who was burned or killed or persecuted. And here's something that I'm not sure what this is telling me, but I have got 3 8s and 2 10s and a 9. So we've got 8, 9, and 10. This is something that happened very, very quickly for this individual. They suddenly were burdened. They suddenly were shunned and had to flee. They hid. They hid for the rest of their life. They had to hide for the rest of their life and start a whole new life over. Wow, some powerful energy here. Yeah, this individual, they were shunned, they were chased out, they had to hide, they had to completely start over at in a very solitary life that lasted the rest of their life. So, wow. And, well, let's just move on to the next card. Try and stay on task here. Okay, so the second card, Spirit, could we please get some messages on the relationship of this ancestor to them? What is the relationship of this ancestor to Group 1, please? What is their relationship to Group 1? Okay. This deck kind of always does this to me. Relationship of this ancestor to Group 1, please. Okay. Let's go with this. We've got the Tower, we've got the Page of Pentacles, we've got the 5 of Cups, and we've got the 3 of Cups. So I am feeling as though this is a ancestor who's related on your mother's side. This is a maternal relation. This is a relative, again, who was shunned and ostracized. And so this relative may be very difficult to find in your lineage. Yeah, they did belong to a community before they were shunned. Again, I feel I'm seeing a witchcraft community. So I feel as though perhaps if you were to search records about witchcraft in the past, perhaps that you might be able to get a clue as to who this ancestor was. You might be able to find them that way. However, this Five of Cups is telling me that it's going to be really difficult to track them down, because a lot of the records were dropped or never kept, or they're just because this person was just basically sort of erased from the records. They did end up living this very isolated lifestyle. They probably went into hiding. I feel like they went into the forest and lived the rest of their life alone by themselves. They lost their community that they belonged to because they were pushed out. This community that they belonged to, they lost that, and their life came shattering down. So their relationship to you, I believe, is on the maternal side, but it's probably going to be really difficult to find anything out about them unless you can find a particular relative, a specific relative who has some knowledge of this individual. There may be a great grandparent or something who has some family stories that might shed some light on this particular ancestor. Spirit, can we please have some messages to represent the life of this ancestor? What was their life like? What do they want us to know about their life? Spirit, I know this deck is a little slippery, but if you could please help me just to get a few cards at a time, that would be really helpful. So, Ancestor, what do you want to tell us about your life? What do you want to tell Group 1 about your life? Okay. So this ancestor wants you to know that even though they were ostracized and they were alone for the rest of their life from whenever this happened, and I'm willing to believe that this was early adulthood that this happened. They want you to know that even though they spent their life in seclusion because of this, they were not. They didn't wallow in this. They were very active in their life. They worked to develop their gifts even after they were ostracized. They went on to create a lot of abundance and happiness in their life. Not abundance in the manner of being rich, but they had what they needed. They created what they needed. They wanted you to know that they used what they understood, the connection that they had to their spirit, the connection that they had to their soul's energy. They used that to create whatever it was that they needed in their life, and they had everything that they could possibly want. They had everything that they needed. They grew their own food. They built their own home. They furnished. They decorated. They created fire. Whatever they needed to do. They didn't hesitate. They knew that they were capable, and even though they'd been pushed out of their community and were very secluded and alone, they didn't feel that way in their heart. They didn't wallow and get depressed about this seclusion, but they took it upon themselves to act, to do whatever it was that they needed to create the life that, to create whatever they needed, to create a life that was in fact fulfilling to them. It was very fulfilling to them, even though they were alone. So that's what they would like you to know about their life. So Spirit, Ancestor, if you could please tell us what trauma what trauma was in your life that got passed forward? What trauma from your life got passed forward to future generations of Group 1? What trauma got passed forward to Group 1, please? That needs healing. What trauma that needs healing got passed forward? Spirit, again, if you could please help me with just 1 or 2 cards at a time. Thank you. Okay. So the trauma that got passed forward was that they were wounded in their heart. They were able to create a life that sustained them. They were able to create a life that was fulfilling, but they never were able to let go of the hurt that they received, the emotional pain that they received by being ostracized, by being doubted, by being persecuted and shunned, and by people hating them without even knowing them. They never could get over the heartache of having to, of being chased away, of being pushed out of the community. So that's the trauma that they bring forward. So Spirit, how can Group 1 heal this trauma so that it does not continue for them and for future generations? How can Group 1 heal this trauma going forward? Oh, I'm so sorry, Group 1. I do love this deck, but the cards are really slippery. There we go. Okay. Okay. So to heal this trauma going forward, we got the Ace of Swords and we got the World card. So the way to heal this trauma is to understand, well, this is kind of twofold, to understand that at the time that this occurred with your ancestor, the world did not have an understanding of the power and the gift of magic. And the people that had that gift were seen as demons or something to be afraid of. And so the way to heal this trauma is to understand that, is to have clarity that this gift of magic, the gift of oneness, of connection to all things and to all people through the energy that connects us all, because we all are created of energy. Everything that we have, everything that we are, everything that we think, it's all energy, and we are all connected through that energy. And so the way to heal this trauma is to understand that the world, all of the world, is connected as one through this energy web, whatever you call it, through God, through the collective consciousness, through the field, through whatever, the quantum field, whatever you call it, the understanding and the knowing that we are all connected, and not just as humans, but everything in this world is connected, is what will heal this trauma going forward from your ancestors. So ancestors of Group 1 and Spirit, please provide messages as to how healing this trauma will benefit Group 1 and their future generations. How will healing this trauma benefit Group 1 and the future generations? Okay, this is beautiful. Healing this trauma is going to release you from self-limiting beliefs. It's going to release you from the chains that keep you from recognizing your full potential, from understanding, from having this. This is the Empress, this is the Devil. So healing this trauma is going to release you from these chains of self-limiting beliefs, of going with the flow of sometimes society that tells you you can't have whatever you want, you can't be whatever you want, you can't do whatever you want. That is a self-limiting belief. That's not the truth of the matter. And by knowing that this connection that we all share, not just to each other, but to the power of divine energy, of creation, by knowing that, by shedding this self-limiting belief that we are not a part of that, that we are not as powerful and equal to that, will bring us to a place of just tremendous, abundant love. And love is the heart of creation. So by shedding this belief that we don't deserve anything that we could imagine, we will come into a place where we can feel the love of the universe and understand that we do deserve whatever it is that lights us up, that makes us abundant, that makes us whole, and feel that love. Shedding these self-limiting beliefs will bring us this unconditional love. So, Spirit and Ancestors of Group 1, can you please bring us messages with regard to what gifts you brought forth? What gifts did this Ancestor bring forth to Group 1 and future generations? What gift was brought forth by this Ancestor, or gifts? Okay, so we got the Judgment card. But first we got the 8 and 9 of Pentacles. The 8 and 9 of Pentacles. So one of the gifts that was brought forward from this Ancestor was the gift of knowing that hard work can bring you great abundance. That by humble, hard work, just doing what needs to get done, and believing that you can do that, just setting forward, not thinking too much about it, but just doing that hard work can bring you to a place of much greater, of very great abundance and self-satisfaction, and can actually change your life to a new understanding, to a new, just a new sense of yourself, by bringing you by bringing your confidence to the place where you know that anything that comes up in your life, you can handle it. You won't even hesitate. You can just step forward and you can do whatever needs to be done to create what you need to create. So those are the gifts that your Ancestor is bringing forth to you and your future generations. So Spirit, how is the best way, or Ancestors, what is the best way for group 1 to recognize and nurture this gift in themselves and future generations? What is the best way for them to recognize and nurture this gift going forward? Okay, so we got the 10 of Pentacles and we got the Fool. So really the best way to recognize this gift is just to recognize your abundance. This is the same message that we got it from your first ancestor. Just look around you and recognize what you have in your life that I'm hearing what you have in your life that you've made, what you have in your life that you have created in your life. A lot of times we don't even realize what we've created in our lives. If you go to Starbucks and you get a cup of coffee, you get a caramelicious iced coffee, you have actually created that in your life. You've created that by creating the abundance, the money to go to the store. You've created it by going to the store. You've created it by ordering it. You've created it by receiving it. So we create pretty much everything in our lives. So your ancestors are telling you that in order to nurture this gift, look around you, recognize what it is that you've created, everything that you've brought into your life. None of it happened by chance. So there are bad things that happen in our lives, and we have a hand in bringing those in as well. But your ancestor is saying that in order to nurture this gift of knowing that you have the ability to work hard and to create whatever you want in your life, notice the beautiful things, notice the abundant things, and always have the belief that whatever happens in your life, even if you have some of the bad things that come into your life, whatever it is, you can always start anew. You can always start fresh, and you're always going to have hope in your life. There's always going to be hope. So in order to nurture these gifts, never give up hope. Always never get stuck in the despairing over what you don't have, or the bad things that happen in your life. Don't get stuck in that. Always look to the hope in your life. Always look to the optimism, and remember to see the things in your life that you have already created that are wonderful things, because you did that. So that's the way to nurture this gift and to bring it forward, to recognize what is good in your life, and to always have hope when there are things that are challenging in your life, that you can move past them and start fresh, and once again create something. You have that gift to being able to create whatever you need in your life. So remember that. Notice what you've already done. That will give you inspiration to move forward and do it again. So Spirit and Ancestor, how is nurturing these gifts going to benefit Group 1? How is nurturing these gifts benefiting them and their future generations in their life? How will this benefit them and future generations? Yeah, so by nurturing these gifts, you're going to get much better at recognizing how to sidestep anything that's going to harm you. You're going to get much better at choosing a path, or just anything in your life. You're going to get much better at choosing what is not going to harm you, what is good for you, what is keeping you away from being harmed. And you're also going to nurture a sense of competence. You're going to have a very calm sense of knowing that even when things are looking bad and there's turmoil and things seem to be turning against you, you're going to be able to pull forth this strong feeling and knowledge and understanding and belief that you have been able to create beautiful things in your life, and you that wasn't by accident. That didn't just happen on its own. You did that. So you're going to, by nurturing these gifts that your ancestor has sent forward, you're going to come to the place in your life where you have the confidence that you can do whatever you need to do, and you're going to have the wisdom to know what is the best way to accomplish that. So Spirit, Ancestor, sorry, thank you for these messages. Ancestor of Group 1, is there anything else that you want Group 1 to know? What do you want them to know? What is any additional message that you have for them? Okay, the message that they have for you is to find a relationship for your life that makes you feel whole, that makes you feel centered. They are just very strongly urging you, above all else, find a love in your life that makes you feel centered. Don't get caught up in trying to make a name for yourself, or trying to be noticed or recognized, or trying to get ahead, or whatever it is that we get caught up in, and then realize that we've wasted an awful lot of time trying to do those things that really don't bring us that much happiness. So what your ancestor would like you to know is that above all else, find this relationship, find this connection that centers you in your life, that gives you a sense of calm, that gives you a sense of support, and that will carry you a long way. So thank you so much, Ancestor, for coming through for Group 1. Thank you very much for this. Let's take a look at the Oracle card that we pulled ahead of time. The Oracle card says, you can make a difference. Do not just go with the flow. Insert yourself into the situation to make a positive impact. I feel like that message is from your first ancestors who came through. They were kind of all about action and making a positive impact. You have the knowledge and the ability to turn things around. So this ancestor had the knowledge that she was persecuted for having. She had the ability to turn her life around. So again, you have the knowledge and ability to turn things around. Believe and inspire others to believe. Your decisive influence will change the outcome. So, beautiful readings, and thank you so much, Ancestors, for coming through. We do appreciate and thank you for bringing these messages to Group 1. Group 1, I hope that this has been beneficial to you, has been helpful, has been maybe filled a little bit of a hole in your soul, in your heart, a little bit of longing perhaps, or has given you some insight on, maybe where some of the traits in your family have come from, and what you can do to turn around some of the difficult traits and to build upon some of the traits that you have that have helped you and helped your family get through the generations. So thank you so much for being with me today, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi, Group 2. This is your reading, the Obsidian Pyramid. I put the cards over, the Oracle card over here on the side because we kind of need a fair amount of room on the desk for this reading. Also, I discovered in the first group's reading that this can get really lengthy. I'm going to try and bring 2 ancestors through separately. I actually ended up bringing 3 through for the first group because two came together, which may happen again. But I'm hoping to be as succinct as possible so that this doesn't take as long as the first group did. But we'll do whatever we need to do. Also, I'm finding out that sometimes bringing through ancestors can kind of wreak havoc with my throat chakra. So I'm feeling sort of choked sometimes. So if I sound that way, that's why. But hopefully that will not be a huge issue. So let's get started. So for group 2, we'd like to please hear from an ancestor of theirs who'd like to come through. Okay, so the first card is who this ancestor who'd like to come through for you. So we got the 8 and the 9 of Cups and the Strength card. So this ancestor, I think this was on your mother's side, and I think that there is this ancestor comes from a line of very motherly, jolly, happy women. So I think that's who this ancestor is. Someone on your mother's side who they possibly may have been from the Orient, or possibly they could have been from perhaps an African nation. Living in I definitely get a tribal feeling of this ancestor. Feel as though they were in a community that a community that was tribal in nature. And again, with this lion, I'm feeling as though with this lion, with this woman carrying water, I'm definitely feeling as though this may have been related to an African nation or a nation in that part of the world. But this was just a very bubbly, outgoing, laughing all the time woman is who this ancestor was. And Spirit, ancestor, could you please tell group 2 how you were related to them? How is group 2 related to this ancestor, please? Okay, we got the 6 of Swords and we got the 7 of Cups. 6 of Swords and the 7 of Cups. So, it's confusing how you were related to this ancestor. I feel like there may have been a crossover in your lineage. It's possible that this ancestor was originally through, let's say, your paternal side, and then generations on forward, their descendants may have married into your maternal descendant side. So I believe, I'm feeling as though this ancestor is related on both sides. Because the two lines crossed at some point, and married into each other and into your two separate lines again. So this woman was on, let's say, the paternal side and had children, and they had children, and they had children, and over here on your maternal side, they had children, and then this individual who's from your paternal side at some generation ended up marrying into the maternal line, not necessarily with any knowledge of that, and certainly enough generations that it wouldn't create any, problems as far as genetics is concerned. Although if this was an individual who was in a tribal community, which may have been small, certainly there may have been some intermarriages within the tribe, and within, neighboring tribes. which this card leads me to believe that that's a possibility, that there was a neighboring tribe, that these villages kind of came together, that there was a narrow, that this was in an area where there wasn't a great deal of population, I think is what this is trying to say. So this ancestor may have been related on both sides to you. So ancestor and spirit, could you please give us messages, ancestor in particular, on what you would like group 2 to know about your life? Some messages about your life, please. Okay, so this individual was not wealthy. They had enough. They had enough in their life. They were satisfied with their existence, but they had just a great deal, just a tremendous amount of love in their life and community. So their material possessions were not particularly important to them. They always had enough. They always had what they needed. They had this tremendous sense of community love. You know, the expression, it takes a village to raise a child. This is the kind of village that this ancestor came from. They came from a place where there was always enough for everyone. They weren't wealthy by any means, but there was always enough. And everybody helped everybody else. Everyone loved everyone else as though they were family. There was also a strong leadership within their community that always kept them safe, that kept them abundant as much as they needed to be. There was a strong leadership in their community that helped them to resolve any sort of disagreements that there might have been within the community. And so that was the life that they came from. A simple life, but one that was, and everything was whatever they needed. It was very connected with all of the others in there. It was almost as though there wasn't particular families. It was almost as though the entire village was one family. But there was an individual, perhaps an oracle or a tribal chief of some sort, who was a very good ruler, a very good protector for his people, and very wise. So that was what their life was like. So ancestor, could you please give us messages with regard to a trauma in your life that you may have had, that was brought forward through the generations? Trauma in your life that may have been brought forward and is now resurfacing in future generations. Okay. So we got the Queen of Wands, the Ace of Wands, and the Hierophant. Okay, let me back up a little bit. This particular ruler of the village may have been, they were a good real ruler. I was getting a message of kind of sternness, or, someone who was very, they just didn't allow for a lot of stepping outside the letter of the law. They kept the village safe. That was kind of the impression that I was getting. They were a good ruler. They were stern. They kept the rules, and they maintained the order so that the village could have what they needed and people could thrive. But what I'm feeling from this individual is that at one point in her life, she stepped outside of the bounds of what was accepted in the village, and she was punished for it publicly. Yeah, the whole village came together. You see this here, this gathering, as though the whole village came together. She was placed central in the village, and she was reprimanded or punished for an act that she had committed that was against the tribal rules, against the laws, essentially, of the village. And that left a mark on her. That left a mark of shame on her. So that's the trauma that she carries forth, or that she has sent forth, is a sense of shame. Ancestor, how can your descendants, how can group 2 begin to heal this trauma? How can group 2 heal this trauma? What can they do to begin to heal this lineage of shame? Okay. We got the 9 of Pentacles. The 9 of Pentacles. Let me get some additional cards. I'm not exactly sure what the message is for that. Thank you. Thank you, Ancestor, for some additional information. Okay, so we got the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands, in addition to the 9 of Pentacles. So the message is to climb up out of this sense of shame. Open the door. Don't get trapped behind this closed door. Don't get stuck in the idea that anything that you've done is shameful. Shame keeps you in a dark dungeon. Shame keeps you in a dark place where you want to remain hidden. You want to hide any sense of shame that you have. You don't want the world to see you. You feel dark and dirty. And what your ancestor wants you to know is that you need to climb up out of that dungeon, out of that cave, into the light. Elevate yourself into a place of light, above this sense of shame. Open up the door. Understand that, realize, throw open the doors, climb up the steps. Don't get trapped in this sense of shame. This may be a sense of shame that you don't even know where it comes from. I mean, there may be a physical characteristic that your family has always felt a sense of shame about through the years that you don't even consciously register. Maybe you have a nose that's wider than much of the world, that's not the perfect nose. Or maybe you've got, maybe you're not a strong athlete, or maybe you, there may be just some little, there may be a perceived flaw that you don't even have, but it's just been brought down through generations, that there is something wrong in the family that they should be ashamed of. It's probably something that, again, if it was brought forward from this ancestor for being punished over some action, that some law or some rule or some norm that she broke, and maybe not even on purpose, here in this village, this sense of shame that your family may have been passing down for generations may not even have any basis in fact anymore. It could be just, this feeling that she had, that she passed on to her offspring, that they passed on to their offspring. They may not even know where it comes from. A few generations down the road, or even one generation, her current generation, if they were old enough to see this happen, they may understand the sense of shame. But if they in fact were small children or not even born yet, they may not even have any grounding for this sense of shame. And that may be what this climbing up the stairs is about. This sense of shame is not grounded in any actual real place or real thing. So move up out of that, climb up above that, because it's very likely not even a real thing. So go into this door, go into yourself, get very quiet and listen. Are you embarrassed about something in your life? Have you always been ashamed of something in your life? Does something that anybody says to you, even just like offhanded, does it spark some sort of a shame in you? For instance, I have always felt a resistance with telling anyone bless you or Gesundheit when they sneeze. I feel as though I'm intruding by saying that. I have no idea why. I've just always felt that way. And now, in looking at these cards and listening to this message, I'm wondering if there's some sense of shame in my family lineage that's been brought down, that has a basis in. So think about your own life. Excuse me. Again, I'm getting that choked up feeling again. So this may be hitting the mark. Think about your own life. If there's something that you've always been inhibited about, if there's something that you've not felt comfortable doing, if there's something that just gives you a sense of discomfort when it happens, or if you have to say things, or whatever it might be, identify that and see if you can identify where it comes from. And if you can't identify where it comes from, realize that it's probably not even your stuff and just let it go. Tell yourself, explain to yourself that there's no basis in fact for this. You don't have to hang on to it. There's no reason to be ashamed or guilty, and just let it go. Okay, so Ancestor, please let Group 2 know how will healing this trauma benefit them going forward, as well as future generations. How will this benefit them? How will healing this trauma benefit them? Maybe we do want those cards. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. So healing this trauma is going to allow you to connect more with other individuals. It's going to alleviate a feeling of being ostracized. It is going to alleviate a sense that you are closed off to other individuals, that you can't expose yourself to other people. You may have always felt, you may have just had some weird feeling of not being as good as other people, or being ugly to other people, or believing that you're awkward or something like that. So healing this trauma is going to release that idea that you're isolated, that idea that you don't belong with the rest of society. It's going to allow you to move out of that sense of isolation and actually make more of a connection. That's how that's going to benefit you going forward, by healing this trauma. So, thank you, Ancestor, for these messages. And could you please now give us messages for Group 2 with regard to the gifts that you have brought forward to them? What gifts has this Ancestor brought forward to you, to her descendants, that you share in as well? Group 2. Okay. So we have got the King of Cups. The King of Cups is about being comfortable with your emotions, and really drinking in emotions, really feeling your emotions to the fullest, enjoying your emotions, We got the Page of Pentacles along with that, as well as the Knight of Pentacles. And this is really about grounding things into yourself. So these 3 cards together are telling you that the gift that this ancestor has brought forward to you is the gift of really being able to feel your emotions deeply, and to really ground them into yourself, so they are rewarding and fulfilling for you. It's not just like, if you see something beautiful, some people would be like, oh, that's pretty, but not you. You have, because of this ancestor, you have this gift of just feeling within yourself how beautiful things really are, or how funny something is, how entertaining something is, how much someone loves you. Whatever the emotion is, you have the ability to feel that emotion really deeply, to ground it clear into yourself. On the possibly the side that might make this a little more difficult for you, the 3 of Swords. In feeling these deep emotions, you also feel, deep wounding when people are not kind to you. But because of this ability, because of your understanding of your emotions, because you have lived a life where you have felt your emotions deeply, you understand them, you are friends with them, they know you, you know them. So anytime that you are wounded by an action that someone takes, or something that they say to you, anything that wounds you to your heart, and there will be many things, because you do feel these emotions deeply. But because of these emotions being grounded within you, being an old friend, it will allow you to work through this more quickly, to work through any time that you might be hurt by someone else. You are able to process emotions because you understand them, and you are familiar with emotions. So it's easier for you to move through emotions. Not only do you have this wonderful gift of feeling beautiful things very deeply, but in things that are difficult, you're able to work through those more easily, because you understand the emotion, and you're also able to help other people work through difficult emotions. That's one of the gifts that this individual has brought forth too. They were the person that when someone had something difficult that they were going through, they would come to this person and they would help them to work through that. They would help them to heal the things that were difficult. They didn't shy away from, they weren't afraid of, they didn't try and keep everything on an intellectual level and try and explain it away. They actually helped people to feel the feelings, to understand what those feelings meant, and to work them through. So that's a gift that this ancestor has brought to you. So, ancestor, could you please tell us what is the best way for group 2 to recognize and nurture this gift that you brought forward to them? What is the best way for them to recognize and nurture this gift? Okay. So we got the Tower, and we got the World, as well as the King of Pentacles. So the best way for you to recognize and to nurture this gift is to let any preconceived notion of what you should be feeling at any given time just crumble away. Don't try to work out emotions in your head. Don't ever try to rationalize what you're thinking. Don't ever let someone else tell you that what you're thinking is not valid. Let that popular method of dealing with emotion nowadays just crumble away. Everybody tries to keep their emotions in a box. It's, be a good girl, don't cry, whatever the message is that we're getting from society. Much of it is don't show your emotions, don't feel your emotions, don't have emotions. Just be strong and be able to power through, which this King of Pentacles here is all about just being solid. So let that drop away. Let that idea that you shouldn't have emotions drop away, because it's actually creating a very, very dangerous, weak foundation to not feel your feelings, to not... Our feelings are what really guides us most appropriately and most successfully. So by allowing yourself to feel your emotions genuinely, to not to let the ideas that you're supposed to be a certain way, different than how you feel, let those ideas just crumble away. By doing that, you will open up a world of health and abundance and happiness. I mean, the world is your oyster when you live within your emotions. Part of the reason that people tell us to hide our emotions a certain way is because so many of us don't know how to react to our emotions. We don't know how to let them flow through. We don't know how to be with them. We don't know how to heal them. And so they're very frightening. So the gift that this ancestor has brought to you is knowing how to live within your emotions, knowing how to feel your emotions, knowing how to heal them, knowing how to honor them. And so that's what these cards are telling you. The way to recognize and nurture this gift is to drop away societal beliefs that you shouldn't feel your emotions, that you need to hide your emotions, and just allow those emotions to be and to guide you. So Spirit, by nurturing these gifts and ancestors, how will Group 2 benefit by nurturing these gifts? Okay, we got the Fool. So by nurturing these gifts, you're always going to have a sense of anything's possible. By nurturing this emotion within you, you're always going to know that you can always set out on a new adventure. You can always start over. There's always going to be hope. You're going to have just a tremendous sense of optimism because you're going to understand yourself. You're going to understand yourself. You're going to understand how the world affects you, and how you can get through the world beneficially and safely and thrive that way. So that's how nurturing these gifts is going to affect you. So Spirit, Ancestors, Ancestor of Group 2, is there anything else that you would like them to know? Any additional messages that you would like Group 2 to know? Additional messages for Group 2, please. Okay. So we got the Judgment card. The Judgment card. So your ancestors are saying that that you can come to a completely new place, a higher place in your life by honoring this gift, and also by healing them, by healing the lineage, this feeling of shame, this feeling of guilt, and honoring your emotions. By healing and nurturing these gifts, you have the capability to remake your life, basically, to come to a place that's more whole, a place that is more rewarding, and a place that is where you can be of service to others in the world. Really a place of value. So that's what they want you to know. So thank you very much, ancestors, for these messages. This has been very kind of you to share this with Group 2. So I thank you very much. And Group 2, I'm going to do a little cleanup here. We're going to talk to another ancestor if they'd like to come through. I'll be right back. All right, group 2, we're going to see if another ancestor of yours would like to come through with messages. Again, it seems that I have been much slower than I had hoped, so we'll see if we can get through this fairly quickly. So group 2, is there another ancestor that would like to come through for them, please? Another ancestor to come through for group 2. We got the 8 of Wands, we got the 3 of Cups, and we got the Knight of Swords. 8 of Wands, 3 of Cups, and the Knight of Swords. So, I am feeling as though this was an ancestor who lived around the time of like King Arthur back in England. I'm feeling as though that's who this ancestor was. They actually may have even been a member of the Round Table that is made famous through the quest for the Grail. Yeah, I'm really kind of getting that vibe here. So, Ancestor, could you please tell Group 2 how you are related to them? How is Group 2 related to you? Okay, well, there is some big energy here. This ancestor came about through the uniting of 2 different kingdoms. Yeah, 2 royal families came together, and their offspring, their child, was this particular ancestor. He ended up himself being a king. I feel as though he was not one of the more well-known kings, although his family lineage probably was at least on one side, a very well-known royal family. I feel as though he did come in to being the king when his, I assume, father died, who was the king. I feel like there was a certain amount of uncertainty on his behalf when he became the king, so he may have been young. He may have been quite young. He also perhaps didn't feel as confident as his father and the kings who had come before him in the line had been. And as a result, he was somewhat... I don't want to say selfish or stingy, but he feared losing what he had. And so he may have become a bit reclusive at some point. And I feel like that's kind of what this is saying, that he was afraid almost to go out in the world. So he was sort of contained within his own kingdom. He was rarely seen. He didn't go out much. As far as how he was related to you, I'm getting a picture of maternal lineage. I believe that his descendant was your mother. So I believe it's on your maternal side that this relationship exists. So, Ancestor, could you please tell us a little something about your life? What would you like Group 2 to know about your life? Okay. Okay. Before this ancestor became king, he was expected to be a part of the army. But he was not a willing. He was afraid to fight, basically. And afraid is probably not the right word, but he actually had sort of a more tender countenance to him than, he was not a warrior, flat out. He just was not a warrior. He preferred peace. He preferred, he was probably maybe a little more intellectual. He just was not comfortable being a great, strong warrior, manly type. So there was definitely some conflict actually leading up to him becoming the king. I feel like there may have been, the people, his subjects or his father's subjects may have viewed him as weak and not a good ruler, and they may not have respected him a great deal. He just simply was not. He just simply was not a warrior, flat out. So, Ancestor, could you please tell us what is a trauma that you have brought forward to your descendants? What is a trauma that was brought forward to your descendants that needs to be healed? Okay. There was a war. There was a war. There was a battle, and blood was shed. Blood was spilled. And this individual regrets that and feels that it was his fault that this happened, that this battle was potentially lost, or even if the battle was won, too many lives were lost during the battle. And so this individual has a terrible amount of regret, just a tremendous amount of regret of not being able to be stronger, not being able to be a better leader in the environment of a war, in the climate of a war, of a battle. That just was not where his strengths lay. So, Ancestor, how can Group 2 begin to help to heal this trauma? Okay. So, so we got the Nine of Cups, we got the Chariot, and we got the Page of Pentacles. So your ancestor wants you to be more brave. They want you to be grounded in your strength and not afraid to meet any challenges head on. They want you to not be frivolous in your life. And they want you to, in order to heal this trauma, they believe that you need to take any challenges seriously. Instead of just brushing them aside or making light of them because you don't feel up to the challenge. They believe that in order to heal this trauma of their life, this guilt, this shame, this sense of being responsible for all of this bloodshed that happened, they need you to take on any challenges with a sense of strength and groundedness, and just be strong. That is what will heal this trauma. So ancestor of group 2, how will healing this trauma affect them and their future generations? How will healing this trauma affect group 2 and future generations? Okay, I love this. We've gotten the World card so many times in the healing. Okay, the Tower and the World. So the way that this is going to affect you and future generations is that it's going to tear down all of the weakness in your life. It's going to do away with anything that doesn't support you in your life. It's going to bring you to where, full circle, to where you realize that you do have the strength to meet any challenge. It's going to break down any beliefs that you have that you can't meet a challenge, and that because in the past you didn't perhaps step up when there was a challenge, that you caused harm to someone else or yourself through that. So by healing this trauma, by healing this sense of grief and of guilt, primarily the sense of guilt, by stepping up and taking on any challenge that might come to you, by doing that, you're going to tear down the beliefs that you can't win. And you will realize that you'll be able to come to a place in your life where you've got the confidence to face whatever it is that might show up in your life, and face it successfully. So, Ancestor, could you please let group know, what gifts did you bring to them? What gifts did you bring forth to group 2 and the future generations? Okay, so we got the Queen of Rods, we got the Empress, and we got the Justice card. So the gifts that this ancestor brought forth to you, group 2, is that they brought forth a sense of inclusion and of fairness and a very gentle nature. A gentle nature that made everyone or anyone, it was kind of a quiet, gentle nature. It wasn't, it was totally the opposite of being a warrior. That's just not who they were. They had this very gentle, quiet nature, a nature that made anyone else feel loved and like not pressured. Like there's no pressure. You can always come and just hang with me. They just made everyone feel comforted and loved and understood. They were not judgmental. They were always fair with everyone. They treated everyone the same as best they could. So that was the gift that they brought. They just had a very inclusive nature for everyone. They had a very accepting nature about them. They were very inclusive. They were very nurturing, and they were very what's the word I want? They were very fair. They were fair to everyone. So, Ancestor, could you please tell group 2 what's the best way for them to recognize and nurture this gift in themselves? What is the best way for them to recognize and to nurture these gifts? Okay. So we got the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles is all about not passing judgment on others, not being the one to determine who needs what, but just being there to provide whatever it is that someone comes to you for. Almost to the place where even if you don't feel like it's what they really need, you understand that it's what they feel like they need. And so you're always going to be the one to give to other individuals whatever it is that they feel like they need to be supported. You are going to have a great deal of clarity to understand what that is. You're one who can see within someone what it is that they truly need, and even if that is not what they're asking for, you're going to give to them whatever it is that is going to make them feel loved. So even if someone is coming to you and saying that they need, X, Y, and Z, they need money, and they need a place to sleep, and they need a good stiff drink, whatever it is, you're going to have the ability to know what it is that they truly need. And you're going to be able to, through this gift, you're going to be able to give them what it is that they truly need, and also to help them understand and see why what they're asking for might not be what they really need, and to make them feel like, not that you're lecturing to them, not that you're telling them, not that you're contradicting them, but that you genuinely care about them, and you are wanting to provide for them what they really need. You're also going to be able to cultivate a great deal of patience with regard to this gift, a tremendous listener. You're going to be just a tremendous listener for people, and that is one of the parts of this gift that's going to help you understand what it is that people need. You can hear the undertones, you can hear what they're not saying, and so by recognizing and nurturing this gift of being fair and accepting and caring of individuals, you're going to be able to provide people, and especially people who might be in crisis, you're going to be able to provide them what they need in that moment to help them through and to help them continue on and feel better. Ancestor of Group 2, how will nurturing these gifts change their life and the life of their future generations? How will this benefit their life? Okay, so by nurturing this gift, by giving this gift to others, by nurturing this gift in yourself so that you can provide to others, it's going to actually help you to be able to make decisions in your life. It's going to help you to get more centered in your life. It's going to help you to, it's going to help you receive what you are actually giving to others. I'm getting the feeling that you may be the last one to get help. You may feel like, my stuff can wait, I don't, it's okay, I'm just going to help these other people because that's what I do. But by doing that, by nurturing this gift to give to others, to be fair to others, to be patient and a good listener with others, you're also going to bring yourself to a place where you're more centered and you are more willing to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, to give yourself some nurturing when you need it as well. So that's how that's going to change for you as well as future generations. You're also going to be able to teach them to take care of themselves too, by taking care of them. So that's how that will benefit you in future generations going forward. So, excuse me, Ancestor of Group 2, is there any final messages that you would like to give them? Any additional messages that you would like to give to Group 2, please? Okay, so they're saying that when things seem chaotic to you, when you're having a difficult time balancing your life, the best thing for you is going to be to let go of trying to control, of trying to power through whatever the difficulty is. The best way for you to make it through any challenges that you have, especially when you're feeling out of balance, when you're feeling like you're being attacked. Rather than try and attack back, rather than try and hang on or be strong or whatever it is, just allow yourself to go with the flow. Step back, recognize, see, understand what's going on. Utilize some of this patience, and also see if there's other individuals involved in this. Whatever the outside factors are, step back and allow yourself to see things from that point of view, to look through the eyes of the other individuals that are involved, to understand the underlying factors with whatever else it is that's coming into play in the situation. And that will allow you to flow through the situation more easily than if you would try and stop things or hold things, or control them, which is going to backfire on you and make things that much harder. So let's take a look. Well, first let's say thank you to this ancestor. Thank you very much, Ancestor, for coming through with these messages. And for group 2, I hope that this kind of helps you with whatever it is that this ancestor has brought to you, whether that's recognizing and utilizing the gifts or healing the traumas, so that they're not brought forth into future generations. I hope that this has been helpful. Let's take a look at the oracle card that we got. The oracle card says persist. Be persistent. Mean every word you pronounce. Remain loyal and true. Trust your vision and intuition. Stay the course and you will succeed. Don't give up. So again, we're talking about this patience, this understanding, this allowing others to come to their own way, or gently, guiding them to that way. Mean every word that you say. Whatever you say, make sure that you are true to that. But be persistent, stay the course, and know that that's going to lead you to success. So, again, I hope that this reading was helpful to you. I want to thank your ancestors very much for coming through. This has been a wonderful connection with them, and I hope that it's been helpful to you, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye. Hi, Group 3. This is your reading, the Clear Quartz Merkaba, or Merkaba. We are going to do 2 readings to bring ancestors through, 2 separate readings, and I have been trying to kind of get things a little more succinct, but so far it hasn't really worked. I will let you know up front that each reading has been taking about 30 minutes, give or take. So that's 2 different readings. So what I probably will end up doing is putting a timestamp for each ancestor, for each group. That way, hopefully, if you want to listen to one initially and then come back and listen to your second ancestor, that's fine. But just a heads up, I'm trying to speed things up, but it just doesn't usually work that way, so I apologize. This is taking a while. Also, I'm finding that bringing ancestors through sometimes kind of wreaks havoc with my throat chakra. So if I am sounding a little bit choked up, that's why. It's happened a few times doing the other readings. So hopefully that won't be an issue, but we shall see. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask your first ancestor if they would like to come through. So Spirit and Ancestor, if you could please provide us some messages with who the ancestor is that would like to come through for group 3, please. Ancestor to come through for group 3, please. Okay. All right, so we got the 2 of Swords, and we got the King of Swords, and we got the Justice card. So this ancestor was a very, very powerful intellectual being. This may have been someone who was it could have been a king, could have been some sort of a lawyer, or a wise man. Perhaps I'm just getting a very strong sense that this ancestor was an individual that the people went to when they needed a decision made that everyone would abide by. So whether that was a king, whether that was a wise man, whether that was some sort of an oracle, this individual could see things and had clear sight and intellect that not many people did. They saw things without any deviation. They saw things very clearly. They could get straight to the point. They could understand things very simply. If there was a decision to be made, there was a clear-cut decision for them. And they would lay down the law and people would abide by it. So that's who this ancestor was. Thank you for that message, Ancestor. May we please know how you are related to Group 3? How is this ancestor related to Group 3, please? How is this ancestor related to Group 3? Whoop! Sorry, that kind of flew out there. I don't know if that card is related or not. We'll see. Okay, so, that's interesting. We got the Three of Cups and we got the Three of Swords. The Three of Cups and the Three of Swords. So 3 is significant here. I'm feeling as though 3 is very significant here. This is a group. The other card that we got is the Ten of Swords. I'm not exactly sure if that factors in or not. Let's take another look. Let's get another card. Ancestor, could you please provide some clarity on how you're related to Group 3? And this is Group 3, another 3 there. Okay, so the Nine of Wands we got. 9 is 3 times 3. So again, 3 is really, really important here with this ancestor. I'm wondering if they were 3 generations back for you, which would make them a fairly recent ancestor. I had a distinct feeling here that they were perhaps a judge. And so maybe 3 generations back, it could be that this was someone in your family that was 3 generations ago that was a judge of sorts. The Ten of Swords would also lend itself to being a judge. Ten of Swords is, punishing individuals, potentially. So I feel as though this is an ancestor that was a judge in their lifetime, perhaps. Someone definitely who passed judgment on people. Yeah, I feel like they were 3 generations back. But Spirit, can you please tell us, Ancestor, can you please tell us maybe on which side of the family you came from? Okay, now we've got the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the 9, the 3. 3s and 10s. I'm still not getting a clear idea of which side of the family this was on. I am sort of getting a maternal vibe from this, though. I feel like this ancestor was a man, but it was possibly on your mother's side of the family. But not necessarily. Can we get one more card on this, please? For some clarification. 2 of Cups. 2 of Cups. Okay, again, I am feeling like this is on your mother's side, so I'm just going to go with that. So I think this was an individual that was potentially 3 generations back or about 300 years back, one or the other. For those of you, either one may apply. Let's see. So let's go with that for the relationship for now. We may get some more messages on that later. Ancestor of Group 3, what would you like them to know about your life? What do you want Group 3 to know about your life? What should they know about you and your life? Okay, so we got the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and by the way, I swear this deck was well shuffled. The Seven of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. So, this individual, in their work life, they had a very, very, very intellectual job or calling or duty. Again, I'm feeling like they may have been some sort of a justice or a judge or something along those lines. So I'm feeling like that there was kind of a huge division in their life, that in their work life that they were very much very intellectual, very emotionless, because they had to be. They're very clear in their words and very decisive about things. But when they stepped away from that, I feel as though they were passionate about making wine, actually. I feel like they were passionate about growing their own grapes and making their own wine. That seems sort of very, like, way too specific, but that's the impression that I'm getting from this. So that was what their life was about. It was kind of like this winemaking thing was their release when they were not doing their job. And they were passionate about it. I feel like they were, very, very skilled and knowledgeable about wines. So, Ancestor, can you please tell Group 3 what is a trauma that needs to be healed, that has been brought forth from your life? What is a trauma that you suffered or that was in your life that has been brought forward that needs to be healed? Okay. Okay. So the first card that we got is the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups. So, and then we got the Ace of Swords, as well as the Queen of Pentacles. So the trauma that needs to be healed from this individual, there were individuals that were put to death or were punished because of a decision that this ancestor made, and they couldn't undo it, even though they realized that the decision was not correct. The judgment that was passed was not correct. Lives were lost because of it. People were put to death, or people died in confinement, or because of this, or because of, if they weren't an actual judge, but they were someone that people looked up to as someone who knew what they were talking about, they may have made some sort of proclamation that caused someone or someone's to be attacked and killed, and they couldn't undo it, even though they realized, they came to realize that they were wrong, but the damage had been done, and there was nothing that they could do to undo that. So the trauma of that is terrible guilt, of a terrible guilt, perhaps some doubt, but I feel like it wasn't so much. Okay, so there was a terrible guilt in having caused this harm to these individuals, but there was also a great deal of self-doubt that was taken on at that point in their life, because up until then they had always been pretty much impeccable in their decision, in their ability to make sound decisions. And so this created a strong sense, a nagging sense of self-doubt for them. So that's the trauma that they brought forward that needs to be healed. So Ancestor of Group 3, how can Group 3 help to heal this trauma going forward? How can they heal this trauma going forward? Okay, I don't think we're going to get any other cards. What we got is the King of Pentacles. And so the way to heal this trauma going forward is to not doubt yourself. Be solid in your decisions. Feel your decisions. Know that they are correct. Don't be rash. Don't be rash in making decisions. Don't hurry to make a decision. Don't make glib decisions or statements that are just off the cuff. Be solid in your decisions and don't doubt them. Just take the time to know that what you know is right. Just that's the way to heal this trauma. Always know before you speak, before you pass judgment. Be sure, be certain, be solid about any decision that you make, any judgment that you might pass. So, thank you for that, Ancestor. Can you please let Group 3 know how it will benefit them and future generations going forward to heal this trauma? How will it benefit them? Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. This is going forward. I'm not even sure how to put this. I can feel it. It's just going to heal you. It's going to heal a sense of sadness. There is just a tremendous sense of sadness that healing this self-doubt is going to complete. It's going to fill this this hole that you have, that you may not even understand. Sometimes trauma is brought forth through generations and they don't even know where it came from. It's just, your parent had this demeanor, this feeling, this belief, and they passed it to you. Just by the way that they acted or the things that they said. And so you sort of came to embody it yourself and you passed it on to your children. And so I just feel this tremendous hole that gets filled up, that just gets, it's like one moment you're empty and the next moment you're full. And that's what healing this trauma is going to do for you. Thank you for that beautiful message, Ancestor Group 3. And next, could we please know what gifts you have sent forward to your descendants? What gift have you sent forward for Group 3? Okay. My goodness. So we got the 7 of Swords and the 8 of Swords and the Page of Pentacles and the Magician. So the gift that you have sent forward, the gift that your ancestor has sent forward to you, Group 3, is that they have a gift of knowing how to find their way through any situation. And I don't necessarily mean physically find their way through. They have a gift of being able to pick through or just skate through all of the external noise and go directly to the point. They send forward a decisiveness and a clarity to you, a mental decisiveness and clarity, an ability to be able to plot a straight mental course through all of the extra noise and stress and commotion and confusion, to be able to find their way quickly to the one true answer. That's what they did in their life, was they found their way through all of the unnecessary details to the truth. And the gift of that, by knowing the truth and by not getting caught up in all of the external details, you can focus on what you want your life to become. So you can manifest whatever it is that you want to have in your life, because you're not distracted by a bunch of extra noise, and you know what it is that you want. You can see this one true thing. You know what's right. You know what you need. You have razor sharp focus, regardless of what the path throws at you. You've got this razor sharp focus, focused in on this one goal or truth. And because of that, you can bring it into existence. Because of this laser focus, you can bring whatever you want into existence. So that is the gift that this ancestor is sending forth to you and has sent forth through the generations. So, ancestor, thank you for that. How best can group 3 recognize and nurture this gift in themselves and in future generations? How can they best recognize and nurture this gift? Okay, the 4 of Swords. The 4 of Swords came forward. So the way to recognize this gift is to quiet yourself. To shut down all of the external noise. And that's a real skill. Because a lot of times we get so internally focused in even the noise in our own heads, the loop that plays over and over. I gotta go to the store after work, I need to get gas, I blah blah blah, whatever all the extra garbage is here. And also, people around you coming to you and telling you about the car wreck that they saw on the way in, or telling you about something that their neighbor did, or whatever the noise is, whether it's external or whether it's internal. The way to nurture this gift, the way to recognize, to first of all recognize, and then to nurture this gift, is to get quiet, to shut out the external noise. And you do have the gift, the ability to do that. In fact, I think you're probably better at it than you believe, and you're probably better than most people, just based upon the gift that this ancestor brought forward. You probably already have this ability. If you don't recognize it yet, you just need to practice it. So make things simple. If you have to physically remove yourself from external stimuli, then do that. Meditation can help. However, going out in nature, however you can quiet your environment, whether that's external or internal environment. Quiet your environment, make it simple, shut out all the extra noise going on, and that will help you to nurture this laser focus to be able to see and bring about what you want. Thank you, Ancestor, for that message. And how will nurturing this gift change Group 3's life? How will this change their life and the life of their future generations? Okay, we got the Lovers, we got the Judgment, and we got the Two of Pentacles. This is going to allow you to balance your world better. It's going to allow you to... things just aren't going to be as hard to get in balance, to get moving, it's just, things are just going to be a lot more solid for you, a lot more balanced in your life. It will potentially, this is the Lover's card, it will potentially bring you greater connection with other people in your life, a greater emotional connection with yourself, with others, with your partner, and it will level you up. This is the Judgment card. The Judgment is about, when all is said and done, if you're the one who gets picked, that brings you to a whole nother level. And so by being able to bring this laser focus and to make your life exactly what you want it to be, by cutting out all of the external crap that is just noise that doesn't benefit you at all, you're going to be able to move your life to a new level, whether that be through manifesting everything you ever possibly wanted, or whether that is from being much more connected spiritually, being much more connected emotionally, whatever this end result is, it's going to be a higher level. Whatever facet of your life this deals with, it's going to be a higher level. So that's what nurturing this gift will bring about for you. So, Ancestor of Group number 3, thank you for that. And can you please, are there any final messages you would like to bring to them, please? Any final messages for Group 3 from this Ancestor, please? Okay, so we got the Empress, we got the Moon, and we got the Six of Wands. So the message that this Ancestor wants to bring to you is that by going inside into this place, the Moon, into this place of quiet and personal insight, and this place of where there's not a lot of extra noise. In the night things are quiet, you can hear a lot farther. So by finding your way to that place, you will... This is the Empress, and this is the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is a card of celebration, and the Empress is a card of love, of nurturing, abundance, especially in an abundance of unconditional love. So by finding your way through this, it's interesting. So I'm thinking back to the original cards here. This just struck me. Your Ancestor wants you to know that if we go back to the beginning, this odd beginning of being this very intellectual individual in their life, in their job, but having this passion for growing and creating something amazing and rich and of the earth. This wine that they were so attached to, they were so, it just brought them just this deep sense of fulfillment. Again, back to these cards where, this empty spot that just gets filled up. That I think is again what they're saying. Don't get caught up in the fast decisions, the judgment that is pulling you away from this place of quietude. Really appreciate this abundance. This is going back to that wine again. This is a place of just earthly abundance, really earthly abundance. As is the Six of Wands is a card of celebrating earthly things, of celebrating accomplishments. So your ancestor wants you to know. They want you to feel within yourself and really feel this sense of earthly fulfillment. They want you to always be here, to be in this body, not to always be in your head. Even though and in fact, this gift of this laser focused will allow you to not be in your head all the time. The focus that you have is such that you can quickly make decisions and you know that they're right. And so this ancestor really strongly wants you to not linger in that place all the time. In fact, to not linger in that place a lot at all. Make the decisions that you need to make. See what you need to see in the world. Understand, be clear, and act upon it. But the place that they do want you to linger, the place that they really want you to feel and to live in, is this place of earthly abundance and nurturance and fulfillment. Just really appreciate the simplicity of your life, the simplicity of nature. Really appreciate the... I'm hearing simplicity versus complexity, and not versus, but simplicity and complexity. It's a wine. It's made from grapes. It's made of simple plants, but it can become incredibly complex depending on how it's fermented, on how it is, what grapes are included. So really dwell in that place of understanding, or that place of recognizing that simple things can become wonderfully complex, and just really enjoy that mystery, that amazement of taking something just solid and simple and recognizing all of its complexities. That's what they want you to see. That's what this ancestor wants you to know. So, ancestor of group 3, thank you so much for your messages. That was very kind of you, and very generous, and we appreciate that. Group 3, I'm going to take a quick break and straighten things up here, and we will see if we can get messages from a second ancestor for you. I'll be right back. All right, group 3, let's see if we can get another ancestor to come through for you. Could we please get some messages from another ancestor for group 3, please? Messages from another ancestor for group 3. Who is this ancestor who would like to come through, please? Interesting. May have to get some more cards. Could we have some clarification on this, please, ancestor? Okay. This is kind of heavy. I'm a little shaky looking at this. Okay, first card we got was the Queen of Cups. And then we got the King of Wands. These are pretty much opposite energies. In addition to that, we got Yang, which is male energy, basically. So then when I asked for clarification, I got the Tower and I got Faith. So I'm feeling a Jesus vibe here. Yeah. And I apologize to any of you who have trouble with that. I don't mean in a religious way. I just mean I'm getting the vibe of an individual who embodied the energy of humanity in general, who broke down barriers, who engendered faith, who defied gender definition. The only card that is leading me to say Jesus versus, say, Kuan Yin is this Yang card. So I feel as though this ancestor would have historically been presented more as a male than a female, but that they were someone who perhaps was a shapeshifter, or someone who was genderless, or someone who was just so inclusive in their energy, masculine and feminine. Just a very, very inclusive, powerful individual. But with this Tower and this Faith card, this really was someone who shook things up, who created a following not by their power but by their grace. So I really, again, I apologize if this is something that's difficult for you, Group 3, but I am getting a strong Jesus vibe from this ancestor. So, ancestor of Group 3, could you please tell them how you're related? How are you related to Group 3? How is this ancestor related to Group 3, please? We got the Five of Swords, we got the Six of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Ten of Earth. So this is really, really a very complex energy, extremely complex. There is some confusion in this lineage. There is perhaps some crossing over of the lineages. I feel like there was a time in the progression of this lineage where there may have been a capture of this individual by another group of people, another tribe, another kingdom. I feel as though there was some sort of a battle or conflict between two kingdoms or two worlds or two tribes or two different groups. The winning group captured your ancestor, and your ancestor tried to send word for help when this happened, but it was never received. So I'm wondering if you have connections to both of these groups of people, or these tribes, or these clans. And so because this individual, perhaps when they were a small child, was taken captive from one group into the other group, and then they were subsequently raised by that other group, that the lineage is mixed there. So it's not possible to say which side of your family tree this ancestor is from, because potentially there's lineage on both sides, and this particular individual, like I said, may have been born into one side and raised in the other side, and so it confuses the lineage. So it's difficult to say how this individual is related to you, specifically one side or the other. So, Ancestor, thank you for those messages. Could you please tell Group 3 something about your life? What would you like them to know about your life? Okay, let's see here. All right. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of confirming this over here, that they were pulled away from their family at a young age. This card, the Seven of Swords, is showing that they were taken away, and that they never saw their original family again after this happened. And consequently, it led to some confusion throughout their life. There were some dark places in their memory, in their knowledge of who they were, that were never cleared up for them. And so they had this sort of lingering sense of melancholy, a lingering sense that something was missing in their life as they grew up, and they just didn't quite know what that was, because I'm getting the feeling that them being taken away from their family happened at a fairly early age. This Nine of Cups would lead me to believe that the family unit was fractured early on. It was made incomplete by taking this child from it. But this child did grow up in this new society, and they fit in well in this new society. They were a vital part and a vibrant part of this community as a child. They played together with all the other kids. As they got older, they fell in love with someone in this community, and raised a family, likely. In fact, I believe that's what this rainbow card is, that they did create a family and they went on to have a fulfilled life. But through all of that, there was always this sense of something that was missing, of something that was unclear to them. So that's kind of what their life was about. So thank you, Ancestor, for those messages. Can you please tell us of a trauma in your life that was sent forward to your descendants that needs to be healed? What is a trauma that was sent forward from your life that needs to be healed for your descendants? Okay, so we got this particular tarot deck has some extra cards in it beyond just the typical tarot deck, but we got the card of records. So the Hall of Records, the Akashic records, are records of your many lives that you've had. And so I believe that this card is saying that the trauma of this individual is that they don't know of their past life. They have this sense of an empty place, an uncertainty, a hole in their life. They could never bridge the gap between the life that they were led to believe and that they did live as they were growing up, and this nagging feeling that there was something more, that there was something that they were missing, and they always felt a sense of waiting to understand what that was. They just always had this sense of that there was something more that never came to them, that like they were eternally waiting to find out the answer, the truth of this. So the trauma that they brought forward is just this sense of incompleteness, the sense of loneliness, the sense of emptiness is what they brought forward. So thank you for that message, Ancestor of Group 3. Can you provide some ideas on how they can heal this trauma? How can Group 3 help to heal this trauma going forward? How can Group 3 heal this trauma? Okay. Okay. So we got the King of Swords, we got the Knight of Swords, we got the Queen of Wands. We also got the Three of Cups, and we got the Chariot. So the Three of Cups and the Chariot is telling you, in order to heal this trauma, don't dwell in this sense of emptiness. Don't get stuck in it. And that's the Knight of Swords and the King of Swords are also cards of quick action, of decisive action. And the Queen of Wands, is a card of passion and also some movement to it, taking action. The King and Knight of Swords are more about making decisions, but making clear and quick decisions, and believing in those decisions. So what your ancestor is saying as far as to heal this sense of emptiness, of loneliness, of unfulfilledness is to don't stay in that place. Don't get stuck in this feeling of there's a hole, there's an emptiness, there's a loneliness. Believe in the feelings of love in your life. Let those feelings, okay, and that's another message here. These are cards of strength. The King, the Queen, the Knight. These are all cards of great strength. So let the strength of the love in your life outweigh this sense of melancholy, this sense of an empty place, because that empty place doesn't really belong to you. And you may or may not have consciously noticed it. This card is, this individual in this card, this dog looks basically like he's kind of clueless, and he's just going along and happy to be. And this cat is kind of looking with anticipation. So I think that this may also be saying that you may or may not have been aware of this feeling. But if you stop and you really feel for it, you will notice this sense of longing, maybe. So the way to heal that is to not get stuck in it. Don't stay in that. Move ahead decisively with great vigor and purpose to live in a place of connection and celebration and joy. Just really, really feel into the places that are joyful in your life, especially with regard to connecting with other people. Recognize that you have these connections. Prioritize these connections, and make it a place in your life that is important for you to connect genuinely, authentically, emotionally. Thank you, Ancestor. And how will healing this trauma benefit Group 3? How will healing this trauma benefit them? Okay, so the first card we got is what is real. So they're telling you again that this feeling of loneliness, this feeling of emptiness is not real for you. It's not something that actually has come about in your own lifetime. It's not something that actually was a trauma for you. It's just been passed down. It's been, from parent to child. There's been this sort of emotion of even when things were happy, there's kind of a wistfulness, there's kind of a melancholy, and generations pick that up going forward. And so you have probably picked this up through generations, through the way your mother or your grandmother or your father or grandfather or uncle or aunt or whomever always had this sort of wistfulness, like, oh, that's so beautiful, I hope that they'll be happy their whole life. It's not, oh, that's so beautiful, they're going to be happy their whole life. It's I hope. It's this feeling of knowing that that's not always the way that it will be. It's this just feeling of something's missing, of something has been torn away, and that it's always going to be missing. That's not really your feeling. That's come forward from this ancestor who really didn't even understand that feeling for themselves. And so they're saying, by healing that feeling, by focusing on and gravitating toward what is real, the emotions, the interactions, the joy in your life that is real, then you're going to know what's real. You're going to live in what is real, not what is this unknown. And the other card that we got is the world. And so by healing this hole that you have that doesn't really seem to have any anchor, it's going to complete the cycle, so that this hole will close in your heart, in your wherever you feel this hole. It's going to close up. It's going to fill up with what is real, what is joyous, what is good in your life. Thank you for that message, Ancestor. May we please know what gifts you sent forward through the generations as well. What gift did you send forward to Group 3 and through all the generations? Okay. So we got the devil, we got happy faces, we got the star, and we got the Queen of Earth. This is a little confusing. Could we have some additional clarification, please, Ancestor of Group 3, for the gift that you sent forward to them and through the generations? Okay. Well, I think I see now. The gift that your ancestor sent forth, this devil card is this this longing, this nagging that they have, of this sense of not knowing something, that there's something missing in their life. But the gift that they sent forward to you is the ability to be happy and to interact with other people despite that. And to genuinely be happy, to genuinely enjoy interaction with others around you, with those that you grew up with. I mean, if we think back to the beginning of the reading, you know, it wasn't just that they had this sense of longing and this sense of emptiness. That was always kind of there, but it wasn't the predominant energy of their life. The predominant energy of their life, they played together with the people they grew up with. They fell in love with someone that they grew up with. They made a family with someone that was in their world that they grew up with. So the dominant gift they brought forward is, despite the fact that they had this little nagging devil, this nagging feeling of something in my life is missing, something's not quite right, they still had the will of character, the strength of character to be happy in their life, to work together and play together and love the others who were in their life. They were able to, even though they had this duality, this Two of Swords, they were still able to find their center and to have a meaningful interaction and a meaningful life and a purposeful life. Also, they were able to realize their dreams. They fell in love. They started a family. They were successful. They were happy. So that's the gift that they bring forth. That even though there are these limiting things in your life, even though you may not understand them, they have the gift of being able to enjoy their life, to make their life what they wanted it to be, despite having this sense of something was missing. Thank you, Ancestor, for those messages. How can Group 3 best recognize and nurture this gift in themselves? How can they recognize and nurture this gift in themselves? I am, and I've not done this for any of the other groups, but I'm feeling like I need another deck. I feel like I need this one. No. I'm sorry. Hold on. This one. Okay, I'm using this deck. So how, thank you, Ancestor, how can Group 3 best recognize and nurture this gift in their life? How can they best recognize and nurture this gift for themselves? Protection. Could I have some additional clarification for that, please? Okay. Now it makes sense. Okay, the way to best nurture this gift is to protect against getting pulled into this sense of emptiness, of loneliness, to live your life with an incredible passion, just to be passionate about everything you do. Throw yourself into your relationships, into your projects, into your job, whatever it is. Protect yourself from getting pulled into this reverie of dwelling on what's not there, and just live in the moment passionately, feel everything to its fullest. So that's how to recognize and nurture this gift of despite having this emptiness somewhere deep inside, that you still can live your life to the very fullest. Thank you, Ancestor, for that message. And how will nurturing these gifts benefit Group 3? How will nurturing these gifts benefit Group 3, please? How will this benefit their life and future generations? Sorry. Okay, so we got the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune, and I want you to notice this card. This tiny drop is magnifying this beautiful flower. So they're saying that this tiny space in front of you, inside of you, this tiny place that seems empty, that seems, you can see right through this drop of water, as though it's it's empty. But by looking through this little drop, you can see this flower that's out of focus back here, but it's magnified and brought into focus by not stopping at just looking at this little drop, by looking through this emptiness, by being able to look out through this emptiness and not get stopped at the emptiness, then this opens up all the possibilities. It opens up things that you never saw before. So by not getting stuck in this little empty place, it's going to allow your world to open up and become much clearer for you. I'd like to get some additional clarification on that one, please. Ancestor, could we please have some clarification on how nurturing this gift will benefit? Okay. The Four of Wands. It's going to bring you to a fulfilling relationship, flat out. That will be a place of celebration. It's going to bring you things in your life that you will be able to celebrate, and not only celebrate within yourself, but this is going to bring you to a place where you celebrate with others, celebrate with people who love you, celebrate with your family. This is going to bring you events in your life or accomplishments in your life that are something that not only you will celebrate, but those who love you will celebrate too. So great events, great happenings in your life. That is what will be brought about through the nurturing of this gift. So, thank you, Ancestor, for those messages. Could we have any final thoughts for Group 3 from you, please? Anything you'd like them to know? What would you like them to know? What would you like Group 3 to know, please, Ancestor? Page of Swords. Page of Swords. They want you to know that your angels are with you. You have always got someone supporting you and loving you in your corner. You've always got a divine connection. I think we're going back to kind of this Jesus feeling. I feel like this ancestor may now be in the divine realm. They may have gone through enough incarnations that they have moved beyond reincarnating here on Earth. perhaps that means that you're the last of this lineage to reincarnate here on Earth. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what I mean by that. But white feather is the sign of an angel, so they want you to know that they're always with you. Your angels are always with you. Some form of support from the spirit realm is always with you. Yeah, they just want you to know that there's always that connection for you. If you ever need anything, just ask. Whoever you... And you don't even have to identify anyone. If you need the support, just to ask. Just ask in general, and it will be there for you. It will always be there for you. So thank you very much, Ancestor, for these messages. And thank you, Group 3, for being here for these messages. I hope that this provided some connection for you. My intention is to be able to bring forth what our ancestors have left for us. I think a lot of times, even if we look up our ancestors, it's kind of cool, oh, they lived here and they did this, and they, even if they were someone amazing, or if there was some significant event in their life that we know about, I don't think that we always think about, or at least I don't always think about, the day-to-day things that they lived through, that they had in their life, that come to us even through the generations, whether they be good or bad. So I hope that this provided a way to maybe make sense of some of those things that never really made sense before to you, some of these traumas that have been passed down through generations. Or I hope that maybe these messages have given you the confidence to believe in some of the gifts that you have, that you never knew where those came from either. Yeah, so I hope that this has served its purpose and provided some guidance from our ancestors. I did choose this, intuitively choose this oracle card ahead of time, so let's read that. Your card says, earn it. Abandon your ego and work towards your goal one step at a time. Education, virtue, and diligence allow a soul's inner wisdom to manifest itself. There is no shortcut. You must earn it. So I think that maybe this goes back to kind of working, even though there's this place of not completeness, of moving past any restrictions that you feel in your life, and just going for what you want your life to be, just doing that work, taking those actions, and earning what you want, and it will come to you. So I think that that's one of the things that this ancestor brings to you, that even though there's something there that's sort of unknown, that you don't maybe have a really solid foundation, you still have this inner strength, and you still have this ability to do whatever it is that you want to do, and to be happy in doing that. So, and if you don't have the confidence that you can do that, you have someone there, you have someone to ask for. So just ask, and they'll be with you, and they'll help you through whatever it is you need. So thank you, Group 3, for being with me. I know this has been long, but I really, really enjoyed doing these readings, and I hope that you enjoyed it too, and I hope that I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.